Okay, good morning, traders, and welcome to the Bookmap Pro Trader webinar. Today is going to be with Frank Marrero of Spanglish Traders and Spanglish Trades, and we have Frank every Friday at 1 p.m. He's a weekly streamer here at the Bookmap Discord and YouTube channel. So great to have Frank, and he'll go through his trading activity in stocks and options, and also some futures, I believe. Anyway, we'll go through the disclosure, and let me just turn it right over to Frank. This will be in Spanish and a bit of English as well. You can ask your questions also in English, and just put it here into YouTube, and we'll get to them. Also in Discord. General disclosure, all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. With that said, Frank, take it away.
Thank you, Bruce. Good to be here again. And like Bruce said, we're going to be in every Friday at 1 p.m. in Spanish. So vamos a estar los viernes a la 1 de la tarde en español con Bookmap. All right, so we're going to try to do this in English and Spanish, but I'm going to focus mainly on the Spanish side. If you do have any questions, I'm going to try to explain as I go. But let's kick it in. All right, good deal. So, primero quiero saludar a todos los que están uniéndose por ahí. I see a lot of people from Pennsylvania, Chile, Miami, in Spanish. My Spanish family from Bookmap, I see a lot of the names que siempre se conectan, la gente que se conecta siempre por ahí. Y bueno, hoy les voy a decir un poquito lo que vamos a conversar. We are going to talk about a little bit about how I use Bookmap as a user. And I find these two very, very helpful when it comes to my trading. So I'm going to talk about how I use Bookmap. Vamos a hablar cómo uso Bookmap. Y les voy a hablar sobre específicamente un trade que tomé con Bookmap. Y creo que estos ejemplos prácticos siempre nos ayudan. De nuevo, este es mi proceso y no tiene que ser el de ustedes. Simplemente vamos a conversar. Déjame poner mi cámara para que me vean la cara, que a mí me gusta que me vean la cara. Eso es sabor. Muy bien. Déjenme saber ahí por el chat si me ven bien. Ahí está. Y saluditos a David, a Juan por ahí. Pero bueno, like I was saying in Spanish, I'm going to try to translate very quickly in English. I'm going to go over a specific trade that we took, like some of the criteria that I used to take this trade. And obviously, I'm going to explain my process and how I incorporate Bookmap into my trading as a user. Again, this is my process. It doesn't have to be yours, but I think it helps to see like practical examples. So I chose a trade that we actually took with my group. Let me introduce myself for a little bit. For those of you who don't know me, especially on the English side, my name is Frank. I'm a stock trader and educator in Spanish. So I have a Spanish community. You're going to see a lot of the people here in the chat are part of that community, and we are here together. And, I trade with stocks and options, right? So I use, as part of my everyday trading, I do scalping with options as well. So that's what I'm going to cover today. And we are going to look at some of the criteria that I use again. So vamos a empezar por lo primero, ¿no? ¿Cuáles son los elementos de Bookmap tenemos que tener en consideración? And again, I understand everybody here knows how to use Bookmap. Todos saben cómo usar Bookmap, ¿verdad? Pero yo voy a hablar de algunas cosas breves porque siempre hay gente nueva que está viendo esto por primera vez. Yo creo que Bookmap es una herramienta fantástica, incluso para las personas que están empezando en el mundo del trading porque les facilita muchísimo el trabajo y les voy a mostrar cómo. ¿Okay? Tenemos algunos elementos. I'm not going to cover, pero en detalles, yo tengo un tutorial de Bookmap en español. I do have a Spanish tutorial for Bookmap as well. If you want to practice your Spanish, you can do so, watching our tutorial in my channel, Spanglish Trades. Pero esto es como yo uso Bookmap en mi trading, ¿no? Vamos a hablar sobre eso y también les voy a comentar cómo establezco los niveles basados en lo que estoy viendo acumulación y distribución en Bookmap, cómo tomo mis entradas y mis salidas basado también en la acumulación, distribución y el order flow que recibo y los datos que recibo de calidad de Bookmap. So, como pueden ver, no hay mucho movimiento en la pantalla que están viendo porque esto es de ayer. Okay, this was yesterday. Yesterday we took this trade. It was a trade with Baba. As some of you know, Baba is a Chinese stock that I love to trade porque it has a predictable pattern. Baba es una acción que tiene un pattern that is kind of predictable. And I've been trading this pattern for quite a few days already. I would say even months. Since, yeah, almost a year. We've been trading this pretty consistent and with great results. I chose this one for that reason. So, let's look at some elements, ¿ok? Vamos a hablar de algunos elementos. Lo primero que tenemos aquí y que tenemos que entender es que, bueno, el mercado es un auction, ¿verdad? Donde los compradores y los vendedores pues, están, valga la redundancia, comprando y vendiendo. Y si tienen alguna pregunta sobre lo que voy a estar hablando, me pueden hacer en cualquier momento, porque yo los ayudo súper bien. Los compradores y los vendedores están todo el tiempo interactuando entre ellos y basado en el precio que están dispuestos a pagar los compradores y el precio en el que están dispuestos a vender esos vendedores, pues se crea pues la acción de precio y los movimientos de las acciones y de los futuros en el día a día. Entonces nosotros en Bookmap podemos ver todo eso de manera visual, ¿ok? De manera visual. ¿Cómo se ve eso? Bueno, nosotros aquí tenemos el order book. El order book, básicamente el COB, es Current Order Book. Y el COB básicamente nos deja saber cuántas órdenes hay acumuladas en cada nivel de precio. Como podemos ver aquí, estamos viendo un ejemplo en el COB. Y esto es lo que yo veo, ¿verdad? Para ver dónde están acumulados esos compradores y vendedores en los niveles de precio. Y basado en eso, y el heat map, que funciona como un mapa de calor, ¿ok? Yo siempre le digo que es como un X-ray del mercado, y a diferencia de lo que nosotros recibimos normalmente, que son los gráficos de velas, esto es real-time data. En este caso no lo estamos viendo a tiempo real porque estamos revisando un trade que, pues de nuevo, yo tomé ayer y cuál fue el criterio que usé. Esto creo que les va a parecer muy interesante. But as I was saying, we can see the orders, but as well, and as I like to call it and rationalize it, Bookmap is kind of like an X-ray of the market where I can see everything in the same screen. It's very simple and easy to use. It may look intimidating at first for a lot of new traders, but when you get used to it, there's so much information you have packed on the same screen. It's easier to look at than other traditional tools, right? And this is very good. So the heat map allows us to see, right, where we have accumulation, right, where there is either buyers or sellers waiting for the price to reach that level so that they can transact, basically where a transaction is going to happen. So en los niveles de Bookmap, en el heat map, transactions are going to happen, o las transacciones van a pasar en estos niveles donde está pues más rojo, ¿no? Es igual que un mapa de calor donde está más rojo, hay más interés en ese nivel de precio. Y esto nos sirve como niveles de soporte y resistencia, de supply and demand, ¿verdad? Entonces, vamos a ver ahora específicamente estos volume dots, right? Los volume dots show you transactions that are happening usually in real time, ¿verdad? Volume dots show you transactions that are happening in real time and how big the volume for those transactions is, so in different price levels. This allows us to see potentially where the price might be heading based on the accumulation and distribution. So, los volume dots nos ayudan a ver todas las transacciones que pasan, even in microseconds, y podemos ver dónde está la acumulación y distribución. So, ya con eso nada más, nosotros nos podemos hacer una idea bastante accurate de a dónde potencialmente puede estar yendo el mercado. So, este es mi sistema. ¿Okay? Ya a partir de aquí les voy a hablar el sistema de Frank. ¿Okay? Eso es sabor. So, tenemos el Session Volume Profile. Right? El Session Volume Profile básicamente es para esta sección o para este día, pues, dónde está la mayor cantidad de volumen de transacciones. Quiere decir, cuando pasa una venta entre un comprador y un vendedor o una compra, pues se registra como una unidad de volumen, ¿ok? Y eso es lo que vemos aquí. Estamos viendo dónde el precio tiene mayor interés, ¿ok? Yo se los voy a racionalizar ahora en un gráfico de velas para que ustedes entiendan un poco de dónde viene, o sea, cómo yo hago mi análisis para cómo uso Bookmap y cómo lo integro a mis análisis, ¿no? So, vamos a ir ahora un momentico a TradingView. Les voy a enseñar los análisis de velas. Voy a saludar ahí a la gente que está uniéndose a la familia, a Cheris, Belkis, Hugo, Danilo, shout out to José, Luis Miguel y todos los que están escuchando. Si tienen alguna pregunta, guys, let me know if you have any questions. Si tienen alguna pregunta, déjenme saber. So, los, los entonces, la otra cosa que tenemos aquí es el Chart Volume Profile, y yo lo tengo en el Delta. Esto tú lo puedes configurar muy fácilmente aquí y puedes usar, pues, acumulativo, Delta, cambiar los colores, en fin, puede hacer un montón de cosas, pero bueno, yo lo veo en Delta simplemente para ver dónde está la mayor cantidad, dónde están esos picos de compradores y vendedores, y ya con eso ya tengo una idea mejor de nuevo, de dónde posiblemente puedo hacer mis entradas. Ahora, antes de yo llegar a este proceso, esto es mi proceso anterior y yo lo hago siempre basado en mis estudios, ¿no? De que esto yo normalmente lo hago antes de que abra el mercado, ¿verdad? Aquí estamos viendo ya un poco en TradingView. Déjame salir de aquí. Vamos a regresar el día de ayer porque justamente yo lo tengo ya mapeado bastante bien aquí para que ustedes puedan entender un poquito esta posición, ¿no? Que nosotros tomamos, esta posición en Baba, que como les dije la tomamos con opciones. Ya vamos a hablar un poquito sobre el criterio que uso. Déjame saber ahí en el chat si hay option traders aquí. Si tengo, if I have option traders in the chat, let me know how long you've been trading with options. So I'm very happy to explain my system. Like I said, I'm going to go back to, oops, I moved something here. I want to go back to TradingView now and explain where my logic is, and then I'm going to validate this information with Bookmap so that you see where this information actually comes from and how Bookmap is such a big part of my trading. So looking at the price action, right, from the day before. So everything we're going to see here is yesterday. We're not looking at a live action. We are looking at a yesterday trade that I took yesterday, a real trade that I took with my group in my Discord channel. So this is like an actual trade that we took. It was profitable trade, and I'm going to talk about how some of the levels were defined by Bookmap, including the entry and exit of this trade. Okay, so regresando atrás, estoy tratando de traducir en español en inglés, así que bear with me. Okay, hopefully me va a dar tiempo a hacer las dos cosas. Pero bueno, si tienen alguna pregunta o hay algo que no entienden, déjenme saber. Veo que todos los que están en el chat son Spanish speakers, and that's good. I see everyone in the chat is Spanish speaker, but do not be afraid to ask in English, okay? It's fine. We're gonna do this. We're gonna pull together as a big happy family, okay? Do not be afraid. Do not get intimidated by the foreign language. It's all good. Got you, okay? All right, so the first thing that I noticed yesterday, and as I was doing my analysis coming into the day, is that we had this gap down right here, where we had the big drop. Okay, so I can explain a little bit of what you're looking at right now on the trading view end of things. You're looking at the after-hour pre-market. I marked it down so I easily recognize that action belongs to pre-market and after-hour. I'm sorry, after-hour and pre-market. Then the same, right? So we're looking at 2 days back right now. We see that Baba had a gap down, and it had a lot of movement around this area, and this area served as a top for the price after coming all the way up from the 84 level to the 88 level, right? So that served as a resistance level. Esto sirvió como una resistencia al precio, and then the price gap down. Y el día anterior, al día en el que tomamos nosotros el trade, pues Baba tuvo bastante consolidation around this level, so por eso estoy marcando los niveles, y el precio cayó aquí. Si ustedes están mirando, este precio hacia donde pues terminó el precio rebotando era justamente el pre-market support del día anterior. So, muchas veces van a encontrar que en ciertos niveles de precio los compradores, la psicología del comprador o del vendedor en el caso de las resistencias está ahí, y pues simplemente al llegar el precio de nuevo a ese nivel, hay más interés de compra. So there's more buying interest around levels that served as a point of rebound in previous trades. So as you can see, this served as a support level in previous day. So as the price got to that level, it did rebound. So what happens is, it's like, and this is where it gets, like where it gets interesting. So I usually mark these levels where, there's price interest, right? This is based on Bookmap, but we are going to go back to Bookmap right now, okay? So I just want you to understand, uh, market psychology, right? Like, how prices, when they reach certain levels and they're unable to break through, usually that serve as a resistance level that we can keep into account moving forward, because market psychology is going to make buyers or sellers, in this case, want to wait for that price to be there so that they can sell, and that would allow the price to move down, then to support levels where the price, and it's a simple principles of trading, but just in case I have somebody that's new, that's kind of how that works for me. So I'm looking at, estoy mirando, voy a regresar a Spanish real quick. Estoy mirando a Baba, right? So my trade, and I wrote it down just like this. I usually, once I map these levels, right, because we had a gap up then. After we had this gap down, the price went down to this level, 84. El precio vino a los 84. And then it hizo un gap up, right, on news. We had some news on Baba, and it did a gap up. So because of the previous day weaknesses, I am waiting for this morning trade, because I have seen this pattern before, because I know the stock, there's a little bit of that. Yo conozco la acción, and I'm waiting for that to be to do a push into a level where it can come down, and then I'm going to drive that movement all the way down and benefit from that. We'll get to the specific trade that I took, but then this is what I'm looking at, right? I'm looking at, knowing the price action of the stock. I'm looking at a potential short from a morning push, right? Which is essentially what happened. So these I wrote, right, as part of my analysis. I wrote this. I'll explain to you in Spanish right now. So, como parte de mi análisis, ya viendo la acción de precio y teniendo de nuevo definidos algunos niveles de soporte y resistencia, then I'm going to come into my day and I'm going to map it. Okay, I'm going to map it. Fíjense que donde el precio hizo resistencia, so we had a price resistance here and here twice. That's exactly where the price did the rebound on the next day, right? I'm looking at those levels, not knowing obviously what the price action is going to be, sin saber lo que la acción de precio, lo que la acción de precio es. Sin saber eso, ya yo estoy mirando estos niveles como posibles retornos, ¿no? Ahora vamos a ir a Bookmap real quick. So ya, yo lo primero que hago es establecer estos niveles, and then I write down like some possible projections here for the stock. So I write down projections for the stock. En este caso, estaba buscando un corto, ¿verdad? En un break sobre los 87.80. Esto se lo comparto a mis miembros, mirando siempre, ya escogiendo el contrato. Yo opero con las opciones. So I trade with intraday options, which are really highly volatile and have a specific criteria, but they're high in returns and allow you to take advantage of market moves and make quite a little bit of money if you know what you're doing, but they're risky. They're very risky. So you always have to be careful with the risk reward. You have to be careful with the size and all of that. But I'm gonna get to that later. Okay. So let's finish up my market prep. Right. I already made notes and I already know these levels. They're in the top of my head right now. I'm gonna go to Bookmap now and validate what I'm looking at, right? So we're gonna go to Bookmap, because Bookmap is real-time data, and I'm looking at what's really happening in the market. This is all aggregated data. History of price, it's important, but not as important as actual price movement, right? So I usually look at real-time data when I trade, but knowing what are some of those psychological levels is important, and then you can see those in Bookmap as well. So that always helps. So going into the day, I already have some levels, right? So as you can see, at 87.80 level has been a support level that then turned into a resistance level. So I'm looking at that as a possible first, and then even for a move up to the 88. Again, not knowing what happened during the day, right? So I'm writing all of this down. I'm choosing the contract that I'm going to possibly trade of the level. And then, what are some of the price targets, right? I want to do this short, meaning that I want to make money when the stock goes down. Okay? Well, as the stock goes down, I will make money with this put. So I already have this ready coming into the day. Now let's go to Bookmap and let's see some of these and how it looked like where I actually took the trade and where I left and how much money I made on this particular trade. And I think this will serve as an example for you as well to do, you know, you know have a system in place. But the most important thing for trading in general is preparation. Okay, execution is fairly easy once you're well prepared. And then this is how Bookmap helps me be very well prepared, but not only that, execute at a level that it wasn't possible for me before. And I'll be honest, this really had an impact on my profits because it takes a lot of the guesswork away. So la ejecución es importante, pero más importante que eso es la preparación, ¿ok? Y esto es como Bookmap me ayuda a mí a tomar esas iniciativas, ¿verdad? Porque en el trading todo es preparación. Pero Bookmap me ayuda entonces a esa preparación que ya hicimos, eso que les acabo de mostrar, a ejecutarlo con convicción, ¿ok? So, let's look at the price action on that day, and let's take a look at what I was looking at coming into the day. This is the beginning of the day. I took this trade very early. Usually, I take trades a little bit later on the day just to make sure the price settles, especially in this type of markets where there's a lot of volatility. Obviously, market confluence is really important. And I look at that as well, making sure that the SPY and or the indices futures are there's nothing going on in the market that might cause a sudden price move. But in this case, it was pretty okay day for trading, and I come into the day with those levels in mind, right? Again, what I showed you before. First thing that happens is I'm waiting for that push. I'm not gonna get in right away. I know I'm looking short, but after a gap up, there is typically some sort of price push up high in this stock in particular. So, empezando en el día, estoy buscando un push, ¿verdad? Y estoy buscando un nivel de resistencia de precio desde el cual yo puedo empezar a operar, ¿ok? Lo que empiezo a ver es que los compradores vienen bastante fuertes, and then you can see that by the size of the volume dots, and the price moves up. Now, as you can see, aquí teníamos un nivel ha marcado en Bookmap de liquidez, ¿ok? So, esto es histórico, ¿ok? So, de la manera como tú lo estás viendo, esto va progresando durante el día, luego lo vamos a ver. Y a medida que va progresando, tú vas viendo cómo esto va cambiando. Estos colores van a ir cambiando de acuerdo a lo que va pasando en el día. So, esto a lo mejor como se ve ahora no era como se estaba viendo en vivo, pero en el momento en que yo lo estaba viendo, tenía este nivel bastante marcado aquí. ¿Sí? Hay una acumulación ahí y eso lo veíamos también en el current order book en el momento. Entonces, al llegar a ese precio, I'm already looking for weakness, ¿ok? Aquí, ¿qué es lo que tengo? Ya tengo el risk reward. Yo sé que el precio, o sea, mi proyección es bajista para este precio. Ya yo tengo definido mi contrato y yo quiero que el precio venga para abajo, ¿no? Estoy buscando desde dónde el precio puede rebotar. Ya tengo este nivel. Este nivel que estamos viendo en los 88, nosotros lo teníamos marcado también en cuando miramos el gráfico, lo teníamos marcado aquí, ¿cierto? Estos niveles en $88 lo teníamos marcado desde días de donde el precio de nuevo tuvo todo este soporte. So all of this, you're looking at Bookmap right now, and this is what you're looking at. This actual trade is what you're looking at in Bookmap right now. So just making sure that we make that connection. So lo que estamos viendo en Bookmap es exactamente lo que les mostré anteriormente en el Trading View. Now, let's be honest. Price is coming really strong into this resistance level, right? Where they are actual sellers waiting to get off, right? Now, there is obviously two potentials here that there is going to be absorption and the price is going to continue moving higher. We have this other area right here as a possible point of return, right? That's how I call it, a point of return. So but I'm looking for weakness, any signs of weakness, and I'm going to execute my trade, right? So I have these levels marked. Because in this case I did get like right here, right? I'm gonna explain my reasoning for this trade. So in this case, I had this area as a stop loss, right? Over this area, obviously, as a stop loss, and then again, as I was sharing before, the previous support as a target for that trade, and this is why I shared with you before. So tenía esto como estas dos áreas como unas posibles áreas de resistencia y aquí abajo como un target para este trade. Con el precio cayendo, o sea, nosotros vemos que viene bastante fuerte hasta aquí. Aquí tenemos un volumen que entra rápido porque aquí en el order book teníamos muchísimo volumen sobre esa área y lo vemos aquí. De hecho, todavía lo podemos ver en el chart volume profile que todavía hay bastante volumen en esa área, es donde se ha negociado. En este caso estamos mirando de nuevo los datos de ayer, no es datos reales, o sea, no es datos en tiempo real. Estoy mostrando un trade que tomé ayer. ¿Cuál es mi criterio? Yo quiero ver seguridad en el pullback. Again, I will field questions if you do have them in English or Spanish. Puedo responder preguntas si tienen en inglés o español. I just want you to know what my logic was and what my process was for this particular trade. Es una acción que yo conozco bastante bien de nuevo. So I'm waiting for the weakness because I know the weakness is there based on the price movement from the day before. So, la acción llega, viene con mucha fortaleza, hay unas options, toda esta liquidez que teníamos aquí se remueve. As you can see, tú puedes ver muy notablemente como al llegar el precio aquí, todos estos vendedores que habían acumulados en esta área se van. O sea, no tienes aquí esta liquidez anymore. Quiere decir que hubo ese nivel, digamos que se removió. A partir de ahí el precio o va a mostrar debilidad on the downside o va a empujar más arriba. Ahí es donde empieza a mostrar debilidad. Aquí es donde yo empiezo a ver que tenemos varios volume dots mostrando de nuevo bastante volumen de venta, el precio cayendo. I'm not going to take the trade right away over there. Why? Because it could potentially push de nuevo, hacer un pullback en algún nivel y empezar a subir de nuevo para acá arriba. O sea, darle un nivel más arriba. Yo voy a esperar con calma a ver una definición en el precio. Ya yo al ver de nuevo, tanto en la gráfica de velas como aquí en Bookmap, que se rompe el nivel que ya los vendedores realmente están tomando el control, entonces en ese punto voy a tomar el trade. I took this trade en el VWAP break. Este es el VWAP. Nosotros lo podemos ver en la gráfica donde VWAP break, I took that trade. Tenía, de nuevo, bastante todavía downside el trade. I took it a little bit later than I usually take the trade based on Bookmap, but I took the trade either way because the weakness was very apparent at that time to me looking at the graph. Obviously we're looking in hindsight and it might look different to you, but at the time it was very apparent and you see the actual weakness happening after the price get to this price resistance. So even though there was a strong move going into that price, you are going to see that there is obvious weakness coming out of that price level. So that's what I usually look for in entry. So voy a ir regreso al gráfico de velas porque lo tenemos ahí un poquito más visual para que lo vean ahí. So I took the entry right here with the contract that I already had as preset already since the beginning of when I was doing my market analysis. This is what I was looking at. I was looking at that weakness around this price level, the 87.80 level, and then I was going to take the trade. I waited for the obvious weakness to be there, and then I took the trade when I saw on the third candle right here on the VWAP break. So as I broke VWAP, that's an indication to me that my trade is there, okay? Obviously, you have to look at risk reward and everything that you do. There's always the possibility of this trade turning back on you. That is trading. It happens all the time. So you just have to take what you see and what you feel and in the market at the time. So I took the trade there and then ahora voy a hablar de dónde tomé el trade, ¿ok? Voy a regresar en español. Tomé el trade en el break del VWAP, tomé este trade. costó $199 por contrato, básicamente. Estoy pagando un premium un poco alto por la volatilidad, pero un trade que yo le tengo bastante convicción. Usualmente me gusta pagar menos por los contratos. Las opciones son bastante riesgosas y tienen movimientos bastante fuertes. Y voy a poner mi primer price target around 20%, which is this level, ¿ok? Si miran aquí, estamos viendo este nivel que son 86.67. Vamos a ir a Bookmap y vamos a chequearlo rapidito. 86.67 viene siendo esta área, ¿ok? Tomé mi trade y en esta área yo tengo esta liquidez que está formada aquí. Ven aquí, están viendo exactamente que los niveles los puedes ver muy visualmente en Bookmap y eso me ayuda muchísimo. Sobre este nivel, ¿verdad? Yo voy a tomar mi primer profit, ¿ok? 86.75, 86.80 level. Voy a tomar mi primer profit. ¿Por qué? Porque, bueno, uno, tenemos aquí desde donde el precio de nuevo rebotó en el pre-market y eso sirve como un nivel y estamos viendo que hay volumen y órdenes en esos niveles en ese momento. Y voy a buscar de nuevo una posibilidad de que el precio rebote desde aquí y continúe su movimiento hacia abajo, pero aquí voy a tomar esto en ese trade con opciones era más o menos un 20%. So I'm looking at, taking that 20%, holding that. Again, if you trade with options, intraday options are highly volatile. You know, trades in general, you want to take profits when you have them. You don't want to risk staying on the trade too long, trying to go for the home run. 20% return in any investment, in any case, especially when you do a 10-minute trade, a 10 freaking minute trade. That's a really, really good return, and I'm happy with that. And as a trader, we need to exercise that caution. We need to understand what the risk reward is and how quick you can displace that revenue. As a businessman, you don't ever want to displace revenue. Y como trader, de nuevo, tú tienes que conocer el risk reward, tienes que entender de que es un negocio y de que 20% de retorno en cualquier negocio es bastante, y sobre todo en un negocio que estamos haciendo en 10 minutos. O sea, ¿quién gana 20% de retorno en un negocio en 20 minutos? Obviamente, yo miro el size. I do take care of the size of the position. You don't want to take on too much size because, again, these are highly volatile trades in which in any point you can lose up to 50% of this contract and on the price moving away from you like very sudden, and that happens in the market, so you don't want to do that. With options, you always have to be careful with that. That's the reason why a lot of the traders lose money with options, because they don't understand the risk reward. Maybe they come from trading stocks or futures, where the volatility is different, where the risk reward is different, and then you have to take into consideration all of that. I would share my criteria. Les voy a compartir mi criterio sobre qué yo miro cuando voy a elegir un contrato de opciones intradía para hacer scalping con opciones, y luego les voy a compartir sobre eso, pero let's get to this trade. So, going back to TradingView real quick, because I know a lot of you are familiar with candlestick charts, and I wanted to make sure that you see, like the differences in what you can see with Bookmap and what you cannot see with candlestick charts and whatnot, right? Like, it doesn't give you any indication. As you can see, some of the levels that I had thrown out, like kind of like those areas, got respected by this trade. It not always happens that way exactly. Market is not perfect, but you can project with a high degree of confidence when you do this. So took the trade around this level. Again, in Bookmap, we have this really accumulation, right? We had a volume. There was an interest from the buying side on that level. So I cannot see that here, but in Bookmap I can see that. So I'm taking my first profit there. I'm gonna take the bulk of my position in that 2 candle. I already made 20% on this trade, again, because this is a high volatility, high risk reward trade. So as the price then consolidates in that area for a little bit, and I'm looking at the 1-minute chart here, you see that it tried to rebound, but the weakness was evident. And I'm looking at my next level, at my next price level, that, as you can see, as I shared before, was 86.90, 86.50, and then 86, 86.85 level. So which is this area right here. That was kind of my target on this trade. Now, I exited the trade earlier. Why did I exit the trade earlier than I normally do? Okay, I saw I saw the potential for the, again, it's a stock that gap up. So there is buying pressure, obviously, because you had a big gap up. You're trading the other side of the trade. This time, I see that as we reach this level, then we have this candle over candle move. A little bit weak, okay, on the weaker side, I get it. So, cuando yo tomo mi ganancia aquí, ya yo estoy asegurando los profits y veo que sigue el movimiento bajista, yo me voy a quedar en una parte de esa posición buscando el movimiento bajista. Cuando yo veo este candle over candle, aquí, o sea, vela sobre vela, aunque no son velas que están mostrando mucha fortaleza y de nuevo puedo dar un pullback, yo decido tomar aquí el resto de la posición. How much money this trade was specifically? Well, about $68 per contract, 34%. Very happy with that. Again, you can make a lot more, but you don't want to get in the habit of chasing trades or waiting too long. Not with options. Options are like kind of like handling dynamite or like a time bomb. From the minute that you purchase a contract, you are exposed to volatility, you are exposed to market direction, you are exposed to so many things. You have to learn the right way to trade options. So especially when you do intraday options, are not like your traditional ones. Okay. So again, very, very profitable trade. Price was respected. If you look at what happened with the price, because we had another trade, which I didn't take, okay, of this double bottom right here that I wanted to, but I had a meeting and I couldn't trade. But this double bottom right here. That was the 85, 82 level. Let's look at it in Bookmap. That could have been another potential trade here, right? You can see this double bottom here. So as I take the exit of my trade, right, around when this push happened, again in Bookmap, you see how the price got there and it tried to rebound. I wanted to stay a little bit, but I wanted to close this trade as well with the profits. So quería cerrar el trade con Aloy says, I know now what Spanglish means. Nice language. Welcome to my world, my friend, and welcome to the channel as well. Yes, this is really what Spanglish. It actually is more complicated than that. I'm trying to translate, believe it or not. But thank you for that. That made me laugh. That made my day. Y saludos ahí a la gente que están ahí aguantando también el inglés ahí, el inglés sin barrera mío, ¿eh? Pero bueno, otro trade que teníamos aquí, de nuevo, that I would have possibly taken, un trade que yo también podía haber tomado of the double bottom, es este, ¿no? O sea, tuvimos un price, el weakness continúa hasta que llega a este nivel. Now, cuando llega a este nivel, el precio hace un intento de rebote, pero o sea, comparen el tamaño de los volume dots en la caída con el tamaño de los volume dots aquí en el push, ¿no? Aparte de donde se hubo unas transacciones ahí bastante fuertes, de nuevo, se empieza a crear inmediatamente este tope aquí. O sea, tú estás viendo que aquí no había liquidez ninguna y de pronto aquí en el Bookmap tú estás viendo cómo se crea esa liquidez en esa área enseguida. Entonces, ¿qué está pasando? Te están haciendo un techo ahí, básicamente. Tú lo puedes interpretar así. No es rocket science. No es rocket science. So, you get a little bit of accumulation aquí, people waiting for the right time to maybe short the stock, open a short position from that side, or even just sell out of the short position. So as you can see this here, I'm now waiting for price weakness on that level, right? So esto fue un trade que yo no tomé, esto es otro trade, ya salimos del trade del 34%, pero aquí yo estoy viendo de nuevo que se está formando aquí un nuevo techito. Ese techito es débil, lo que no me demuestra que hay mucha fortaleza, pero de nuevo yo estoy esperando debilidad. So, al caerse el precio, estoy esperando bueno, yo estoy viendo que ya tengo el nivel más fuerte que teníamos aquí abajo en los 85, pero todavía teníamos esto que hay que superarlo, ¿no? Este nivel es el doble bottom que estamos hablando, el doble piso, y al bajar el precio llega a este nivel. We have double bottom here of the weakness. You see how this little price resistance here was created. You can visually see that in Bookmap. You cannot see this on a candlestick chart because it happens real time. You are going to see the change in colors, right, for the heat map because it's real time data. So waiting for weakness, Then around this level, I'm going to see absorption, meaning that, you know, this accumulation that was here, this volume that was here waiting, got absorbed by the price, and then immediately you start seeing that candle over candle on the chart, but then you start seeing how this price start moving to the upside. As I break this level right here, I have a long entry, in my opinion. Tell me what you think. So as I break this level, I do have a long entry. Conviction happens. There is obviously some price resistance there, but I do feel like if I look at the candlesticks, the one that I showed you before, miramos el candlestick that I showed you before, you are going to see that this 86 level and then even down to the 85 level was a previous support for this price. So we had a strong support from previous days. So good to take a long entry over VWAP on that. If we're gonna maybe a little bigger here so you can see. So VWAP cross, retest of that VWAP, then I take the long. Would have been a very nice little trade. Broke this level, again the previous level, went back to the level where I took the trade before, broke through that level, broke through that level, broke through that level, again to the 88.20 level. Let's look at the chart and let me see what the 88 level is, okay? I'm gonna show you real quick. 88.20 right here. You see it? Let's go back to the previous day. That was the previous day support for the price. And then you had the resistance on top, 88.45. So este fue el precio del soporte anterior y la resistencia anterior que terminó siendo donde el precio finalmente en el long entry, de nuevo, of that double top, terminó deteniéndose. So, yo hubiera tomado otro long que no lo tomé porque tenía una reunión, I couldn't do it. Hubiera tomado otro long on this retest of VWAP con el price target en este top, ¿verdad? That would have been a very, very profitable, nice trade to take. Now, criterio para elegir contratos de opciones, okay? And then I'll take some questions, okay? My criteria for choosing intraday option contracts, okay? It's very easy. Rocket science. I am a very simple-minded trader. I'm not fancy. But you know, it works for me. And that's what I do it. That's why I do it. So, as I mentioned earlier, I want to share a few criterias when choosing these time bombs, as I call them, these intraday highly volatile option contracts. So I'm going to talk specifically about that because the criteria is going to be different from choosing maybe an option contract for a leap or for swing trading. Okay, very different. Okay? Very, very different. So this that I'm giving you right now, I want to make sure that everybody understands that it's for these time bombs trading, these kamikaze, these highly volatile traders that are highly profitable, but also very risky. Okay, so do that. First thing that I assume in my mind, in my brain, is that there is maximum risk. In that the way to control my exposition to this trade is by reducing my size. Where in a stock trade, I would take a lot more. These, I don't want to take a big bite because that big bite can take a lot of my profits. Can take a lot of my profitable trades. It can erase my progress. That's the very first thing. Regresando, yo asumo máximo riesgo. Este es el criterio para mis contratos intradía, pero de nuevo, los contratos intradía entendamos que tienen un diferente criterio que si fuéramos a elegir un contrato para swing trade o un contrato para opciones de leap, ¿okay? Donde voy a mantener esa opción un poquito más a largo plazo. So, esto es solamente para lo que yo le conozco, estas bombas de tiempo que yo les llamo contratos intradías, que nosotros tenemos que entender de que literal es como manejar nitroglicerina, dinamita o una bomba, ¿no? Tenemos que entender esa parte. Entonces, asumir el riesgo es importante para poder sacarle el beneficio que les compartí. De nuevo, 34% en 10 minutos. O sea, $68 de ganancia por cada contrato en 10 minutos. Un trade de 10 minutos, ¿ok? So, lo primero que tenemos que entender es que, pues, la volatilidad es buena, pero porque todos van a tener volatilidad, estos contratos van a tener un volatility that's higher. You don't want that volatility to be too high, whereas you can really get hurt by volatility crush. So you want decent volatility on these contracts, but you don't want that volatility to be way up there. Same with the delta. You want a manageable delta on these contracts. I usually go a lot by volume and open interest. Why? Because I want to make sure that there's liquidity in the contracts. Okay, también miro que el delta esté manejable. Okay, es un delta que sea manejable, que no sea un delta que sea sea demasiado alto, al mismo tiempo que no sea demasiado bajo, porque yo quiero ganar rápido. Okay. Entonces, voy a escoger contratos con una volatilidad bastante manejable, un delta manejable y asegurarme que tengan liquidez. Eso yo lo veo en el contrato, en el option chain, basado en el volumen y el interés, el open interest que tiene ese contrato. ¿Por qué yo quiero que sea un contrato líquido? ¿Okay? Porque yo no quiero que el spread, o sea, spread meaning the difference between bid and the ask, yo no quiero que ese spread sea demasiado alto porque yo necesito salirme de ese trade right away. Okay? Another thing to consider is liquidity when you're choosing the contracts, because you don't want the spread to be far apart, and then that means that you cannot get in or out of that trade fairly quick, and you need to be able to operate with hotkeys and to get in and out fairly quick. So you want as much liquidity as possible in the contract by the time that you buy the contract. So that's another thing that you always look at. You gotta choose a contract that's very very close to the strike to the actual price of the stock, meaning that the strike price that you're choosing, I usually try to stay within 1 or 2, whether that's up or down based on calls or puts. I usually try to do that, and stay slightly out of the money. I don't want to stay way out of the money with these contracts. I want to stay slightly out of the money, okay? Meaning that, I took this trade when the price was at 87.50, right? Example, or I'm sorry, at 87.20. In this case, on the VWAP break, as you can see here, I am taking the 86 put, in that's $1 the strike price down from the actual price of the stock. I don't want to do 80 or 85. Well, 85 would have been okay, I guess, in this case. But, I don't want to choose contracts that are like way out of the money. Why? Because I want to benefit from the contract, possibly in the money by the time the day ends. Of course, this is, again, from the time that I open these trades, I don't want to stay on them too long. I want to leave right away. I want to take my profits at 20%, 30%, 40%. In many cases, like yesterday, we had a trade for 100 and something percent, and then we have had trades that are really, really interesting. We have gotten really, really good trades with this system. So, obviously, you want on the expiration date. Now let's talk about that. I want, in this particular case, normally you want to give yourself enough time on the expiration date, but to ensure liquidity on a fast approaching expiration date, you have to choose expiration date that's maybe 7 days to 15 days. This is not what you would normally do if you're choosing a longer period trade with options, but in this case, you do, because you want that contract to move fast, to be a high liquidity, fast moving contract. Okay, you would normally avoid this type of situations in other operations, but in this one, in these trades, you have to. Okay, voy a repetir eso en español. Tú no quieres que la fecha de expiración sea demasiado lejana en este caso. Esto no es lo que normalmente tú hicieras si estás buscando un trade un poco más largo, incluso si vas a aguantar este trade para el otro día. Pero como tú te vas a deshacer de este trade rápidamente, tú quieres buscar operaciones que estén entre 7 y 15 días de la fecha de expiración, no más de eso, porque tú necesitas que se mueva rápido el precio para que tú te puedas salir rápido. Y la idea de este trade es, vas a saber con estos trades right away, vas a ganar o vas a perder basado en tu análisis anterior y en todo lo que yo les compartí. Les estoy compartiendo mi análisis desde cero, desde los niveles, desde lo que hice en el pre-market y cómo esperé este trade. So, tú no tienes que quedarte esperando nada más. Tú ejecutas con pérdidas o con ganancias, pero ejecutas el trade de la manera como tú lo pensaste. Y darte entre 7 y 15 días en la fecha de expiración y siempre comprar contratos que estén o fuera del dinero, pero no mucho fuera del dinero porque tú necesitas nada más beneficiarte del cambio, ¿verdad? A medida que el precio se va acercando a ese strike price, pero tú no quieres estar demasiado out of the money de que te puede maltratar el trade si se vira a lo contrario, ¿no? Entonces, those are the main criteria. There's a few more. You never want to hold these trades. Never. You don't want to hold these trades. I want to repeat that again. I think to make sure that all beautiful people do not lose a lot of money in the markets by just, following what I said. Nunca. Escuchen esto. Esta es la regla más importante, ¿ok? En este tipo de contratos. Nunca queremos aguantar el precio. No aguantamos estos contratos hasta el otro día. El otro día, este contrato no vale nada. Imagínate que a ti te dan una bomba de tiempo que tiene 30 minutos, o tiene 10 minutos, o tiene 15 minutos y antes de que explote. El único trabajo es que esa bomba no te explote en la cara, ¿no? In this case, that's kind of how you have to look at it. You have to look at it like you have a time bomb in your hands, and you are never, in any case, want to hold this, because next day, this contract is going to lose possibly, and in most cases, all of its value, or almost all of its value. So you do not want to hold. Holding for intraday options. You execute, you collect your money, you take your profits like a good trader that you are, and then you move away from it, okay? Let's do that. And obviously, I didn't go into details with ensuring that, market confluence and making sure that the market is going in a way that benefits your trade, okay? We don't want to take an intraday option trade on the SPY or any other ticker, 5 minutes before Jerome Powell is scheduled to speak. Of course, like we really don't want to do that. Why? Because there are other things that are going to come into play, like the actual market move. It's like you tend to navigate a boat into a rough sea, and when the tide is low, you are going to sink a boat, no matter how good you know how to drive that boat, right? So I don't know if that makes sense, pero lo voy a repetir en español. Hacer estos trades en un momento en el que pues hay algún catalítico de mercado, por ejemplo, Jerome Powell va a hablar o hacer algo así, tenemos que asegurarnos de la confluencia del mercado. Eso quiere decir que nosotros tenemos que asegurarnos de que lo que nosotros estamos haciendo aquí es, o sea, como navegar un bote cuando el mar está bastante choppy, cuando el mar hay muchas olas y está la marea baja, porque el bote se va a estancar, el bote se va a romper, el bote se va a encallar, o se creo que es encallar la palabra, corríjame ahí la gente de español, pero independientemente de que tú lo sepas manejar o no, entonces tú siempre, una de las cosas que tú tienes que, para buscar estos contratos, asegurarte que no estás haciendo trading alrededor de catalítico, un anuncio, una noticia, las llamadas de earnings, etcétera, etcétera, porque eso sería gambling, and we're not gamblers, okay? Traders. And then, I mentioned that before, but I wanna mention it again. You wanna control the profits, okay? I'm sorry, the size of the position. Again, the way that you can take higher risk in options, like a lot higher in risk, by controlling your position size. Like all the profitable traders that I know, including myself, we look at position size as a way to minimize risk in this type of positions. Again, you can take a really highly volatile, crazy, really like most risky thing you can know of, as long as you control your position size, meaning amount of money that you put into that trade versus what actual amount of money that you have in your account is, then you will be okay in most cases, because you will have, obviously a plan. And even if you take a big loss, it's not going to be in terms of money, of capital, meaning that capital being your tool, right, for work, right? It's like the hammer. If you're a carpenter, right, like you need that capital to operate in the markets. You don't want to give it away. That's not the purpose. That's not what we do this. We do this to make money. So and if you start looking at the capital like your tool to work, like anything that you use for work, whether that's your computer or like if you're a carpenter, you got to use a hammer and nails and things like that. So you have to look at capital like what allows you to do what you do is your capital. So if you wanted to make quick profits, you want to make $68 per contract in 10 minutes, again per contract. That's a 34% return, like I just showed you. You always have to take into account that you don't want to buy, it depends on, I guess, position and how much money you have in your account, but you don't want to buy 300 contracts. You don't want to buy a lot of those unless you have a lot of money in your account in this case, if it makes sense, risk reward for you. But again, controlling the size, it's really, really important. Controlar el size es muy importante como una manera de controlar el riesgo, porque el capital es tu herramienta de trabajo, es como el martillo para el carpintero o la laptop que usas tú en tu trabajo. O sea, tú tienes que entender que ese dinero son soldados y esos soldados tú los tienes que poner a trabajar para ti. Those are my 5 cents. I'm gonna because I had to translate in Spanish and in English. I had to do this twice essentially. I didn't have a lot of time left because I wanted to actually look at the live markets today with you guys. But there's only about 5 minutes left on our day, and I was kind of looking forward to actually kind of go over some of these things live, so that you can see how this actually works live in the market. But I don't think we're going to have a lot of time. So what I'm going to do instead, and now you're going to get to see it live. This is how it looks live. If it's the first time you're seeing Bookmap, this is live Bookmap. Si es la primera vez que están viendo Bookmap, esto es live Bookmap, pero lo que voy a hacer con el tiempito que tenemos es responder preguntas, ¿ok? Si tengo algunas. So, I'm going to answer questions instead. I'm sorry. It was my intention to have some time so we can live trade, but again, every Friday at 1 p.m., if you want to practice your Spanish, you can come to our live stream. We do it every Friday at 1 p.m. We got kind of like the graveyard shift, so we have a lot of time to talk and get to know each other because the markets typically don't move a lot during that time. But so I'm pretty excited today because I got a lot of movement going on. But honestly, si quieren de nuevo ver esto en vivo, los viernes a la 1 de la tarde tenemos este espacio en español. Bookmap nos ha hecho este espacio para nosotros, and I want to thank the Bookmap team and Bruce and everybody. They're all fucking amazing, and they gave us a Spanish, live streams so that we can take a benefit of reading the markets live and then looking at these tools and how I use them and whatnot. And I usually host that every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So los viernes a la 1 de la tarde tenemos ese live stream. Gracias al equipo de Bookmap por todo. Déjame ver si tengo alguna pregunta. Voy a chequear rapidito. But I love the messages here. Me encantan los mensajes. Gracias. Tarde, ahí está Senia, San Juan, Alois también. Bueno, todos los que se están uniendo, los que participaron. Muchas gracias. Ok. I have I think 2 minutes. So déjame ver si puedo responder al menos una pregunta. ¿Qué interpretación le podemos dar a las manchas azules que se forman a través de los dots? Ok, la razón por qué tú estás viendo esas manchas azules es porque, mira, cuando tú miras el mercado en microsegundos, vas a ver donde entra una orden, o sea, en el bid o en el ask, y tú lo abres un poquito más así para verlo en microsegundos y también con lo que se llama microstructure, que microstructure es algo que Bookmap is very well known for, y poder ver ese microstructure, vas a ver que esas líneas azules simplemente significa que en esos momentos, mira aquí con estas órdenes cómo se hizo esa línea roja. Cuando tú le haces sumado, eso se va a ver como un trail, pero mira lo que es, ¿ves? Es en cada nivel de precio donde se negoció. Aquí se negoció, aquí se negoció. Cuando tú lo haces así, ya obviamente porque lo estás viendo tan de lejos, no se ven los detalles. Y por eso ves como esa aura que se crea alrededor de eso. That's a really interesting question that I got here is how does it look like there's an aura around, like a blue aura around, the price, going up or down, right? And I was explaining that when you zoom in, because this is microstructure platform, When you zoom in, basically our transactions are happening at those levels, but when you zoom out, it kind of looks like that because it's like way out there. And you cannot see like the details. But that's kind of why that is formed, because at in every price level, the price goes up and down depending on how many orders we get on the bid and the ask, right? So muchas gracias a todos, querido Bookmap. Muchas gracias por darme la oportunidad, por estar aquí con ustedes. De nuevo, los quiero invitar el viernes a la 1 de la tarde y también que me sigan en spanglish3.com, es mi website, si quieren aprender con nosotros sobre las opciones. Tenemos un curso de opciones también que está disponible en mi página web, spanglish3.com. Tengo un canal también en YouTube donde hablamos de todas las cosas de la bolsa de valores. Tenemos un podcast. I have a podcast as well, the market news in Spanish. Okay, so we have a podcast in Spotify called Wall Street Colada, like the little coffee you take every morning. In 5 minutes, we'll let you know what's going on with the markets and what's moving and all the latest news, but that's in Spanish. So if you want to practice your Spanish, you can do that as well. Tenemos el podcast en español. Es un podcast de 5 minutos todos los días donde te enseñamos pues las noticias, los catalíticos de nuevo, porque la confluencia de mercado es importante en todo esto. I'm done. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Bruce and team, for having me, and I'll see you guys on Friday. Los veo el viernes.
All right. Thank you so much, Frank. Really, really great and excellent use of Spanglish.
I have practice. I lived in Miami my whole life, so I've had a lot of practice.
No, really, really great stuff. And I'm sorry you didn't have too much time to go over anything live due to the translation. However, like you said, you'll be there Friday, so you can go through.
Friday, yeah.
Yeah, every Friday, 1 p.m.
Awesome. And people that speak English are always welcome. Last time we had one of the traders from Bookmap as well, and they were there and they were asking questions. So again, we can do Spanglish in the Friday live stream as well. Not a problem. We're a big happy family. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Bye bye. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.